still lives in hiding.
Get your own Discovery Channel clothing from Shop Discovery. Log on for the best in shark clothing, videos, and CD-ROMs at discovery.com. Up next, find out the week's science news. Discovery News is coming up.
Paleontologists bring the dino attack back to life. Technology and art combine to unravel the mystery of the dinosaur attack. On Sci-Trek, Monday at 9 Eastern and Pacific on the Discovery Channel. This week on Discovery News.
How safe is the water you'll swim in this weekend? From California to the coast of Maine, bacteria and viruses are contaminating the oceans.
And the reality is that people are getting sick right now. I mean, this is ridiculous.
From E. coli to hepatitis, the microbes that are shutting down a record number of beaches. Plus, another quiet crisis, the shrinking coastline. Why 90% of the country's beaches are literally disappearing. A new weapon against an old enemy. The latest technology that uses a mosquito's own appetite for blood to kill it. Rush hour in the middle of the wilderness. After decades of damage, the drastic measures national parks are taking to cope with the crowds. And the great debate. Does food taste better cooked over charcoal or gas? Scientific answers to the backyard barbecue.
From the Discovery Channel and ABC News. Discovery News with Steve Avison.
Welcome to Discovery News. On this traditional end-of-summer weekend, a nationwide concern over danger to swimmers. Invisible organisms in oceans and lakes that are making people sick. Just this week, a lake in Washington State was closed after more than 24 people became infected with a severe strain of E. coli. It's far from an isolated event. Every year across the country, high levels of bacteria cause thousands of beach closings. Deborah Wong reports on the growing hazard.
In Southern California, swimmers and surfers complain they often get sick after a dip in the water.
I had a sinus infection a couple of weeks ago. I surfed hard on Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday morning, sure enough, there it was.
We get sinus infections and ear infections and headaches and things like that.
Hardly a coincidence. A recent study estimates that 1 in 20 people fall ill after splashing in the ocean, a lake, or a pool. Scientists blame the microscopic bacteria, viruses, and other pathogens that are floating in the water, waiting for people to ingest them.
We are land animals now, and when we go to the water, we will get sinus infections, ear infections, and that type of thing.
Although the most common ailments are relatively minor, they are uncomfortable. Sinus or ear infections, gastrointestinal problems, coughs or other respiratory infections, and itchy skin rashes that won't go away. But sometimes the illnesses are severe. This week in southwestern Washington state, more than 24 people were infected with the deadly E. coli bacteria. All of them either swam in this lake or had contact with someone who had. While scientists are not certain that this water is the source of the outbreak, they've closed down the lake as a precaution. Last summer, a similar outbreak occurred at this Georgia water park. 21 people were infected with E. coli. 1 child died.
And the reality is that people are getting sick right now. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Even at pristine beaches, a teaspoon of water contains, on average, 5 million individual bacteria and 50 million viruses. Among the most dangerous for humans, the hepatitis virus, dysentery, and of course, E. coli.
If there's a lot of debris in the water, I won't go out.
Some of the worst pathogens come from animal or human waste. In Washington, scientists think local wildlife may be responsible for the E. coli outbreak. In Southern California, where a big stretch of Huntington Beach is closed, human sewage is the prime suspect, but scientists still haven't been able to find the source. To protect swimmers, scientists there are now monitoring beach water 6 times a week instead of the normal 5.
Anything that was contaminating the street ends up here at the beach.
Some of that discharge comes from storm drains, which carry unfiltered runoff and all the trash that's in it from city gutters right into the ocean.
We see a lot of children playing in the storm drain water that flows across the beach because that water's warm compared to the ocean.
Even hundreds of yards beyond a storm drain, it's literally a sea of bacteria and viruses.
In fact, the risk can be as high as 50%, 100%, up to 300% higher than if you don't swim near those areas.
Many beaches post signs when the risk gets too high, but many do not. And environmentalists say that should change.
The science has been done, and it's time to get out there and notify the public of what the health risks are of swimming in contaminated waters and get that information to the public so that they can use it.
That way, with any luck, a trip to the beach will not end in a trip to the doctor. Deborah Wong, ABC News, Battleground Lake, Washington.
Along the nation's beaches, the problem is not just in the water, but also on shore. Just this week, rough surf from Hurricane Dennis chewed up hundreds of miles of fragile coastline. But it is not just major storms that cause erosion. For decades, engineers have tried to protect beaches, but often their best efforts backfire. Bill Redeker explains.
Storm-driven waves can blast through beaches and wash away miles of shoreline. When powered by the enormous force of a hurricane, the damage to coastlines can be catastrophic. Over time, storm and wave action can erode even the broadest beaches.
So every time you have a major storm, there is some kind of loss of the beach.
Earlier this summer, engineers relocated the famous lighthouse at Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. It was moved nearly 3,000 feet from where it had stood for 130 years. The beach in front of it had eroded, more than 1,600 feet of sand slowly eaten away. Coast to coast, the shoreline is shrinking. Federal officials claim it is eroding on average 2 feet every year, and the effects can be devastating.
I can point to places that where buildings have fallen in, parking lots have disappeared, structures have disappeared. That's happened within the time that I've been studying here.
Norbert Sudi, a professor of marine sciences at Rutgers University, has spent the past 30 years studying the deteriorating coastline in New Jersey.
There have been locations where after a while the shoreline is back to the infrastructures, back to the road, or it's back to the buildings.
It is a battle of epic proportions as coastal towns around the United States fight to keep their beaches from washing away, and homeowners struggle to keep their property from falling into the sea.
They say if you want to have beachfront home, buy in the third row back. In 10 years, you'll be beachfront.
Scientists agree and say it is the construction of beachfront homes that is primarily to blame for the erosion.
There is no erosion problem until someone builds next to the shoreline.
Experts say the problem begins when sand dunes are leveled to lay the foundation for a beachfront home. That's because the dunes protect the beach from storms and erosion caused by continual waves.
And the result is that every time there's a storm is able to reach farther inland, is able to take more sand out, is able to move the shoreline back a little bit farther because the dunes are not there to kind of buffer the erosion.
For years, engineers have tried to protect coastal buildings and the beaches in front of them by building seawalls and other structures. But now it turns out that the structures designed to stop erosion may actually accelerate it.
Walls, for example, tend to reflect wave energy. So you not only get the waves moving sand as they come on shore, but if they're able to strike the hard surface, then they rebound and they produce more energy going back, and they therefore are able to transport even more sand.
Seawalls are now banned in 6 states, but they are not the only structures that are accelerating beach erosion. According to marine geologists, the rocky outcroppings called groins that stick out of the sand into the water are also a problem. They are meant to trap sand washing downshore with the current, and they do, creating a wide beach on the updrift side of the groin, while keeping sand from the downdrift side. Any building on the downdrift side is quickly exposed.
The water is closer to it, and so that during a storm, the areas downdrift will tend to experience more damage, more erosion.
The latest efforts to stave off erosion have focused on what is called beach nourishment, dumping thousands of tons of offshore sand onto a thinning beach. But it costs at least $1 million per mile,
And most marine geologists view beach nourishment as an expensive, short-term solution.
The only feasible long-term solution to the American erosion problem on our open ocean coast is retreat, relocation, moving buildings back, letting them fall and demolishing them. In the long run, we will retreat whether we like it or not.
A lesson that so many homeowners ignore in their quest to live by the sea. Bill Redeker, ABC News, New York.
When we come back, a full attack on the arch enemy of the outdoors. The desperate measures that scientists are taking to study mosquitoes and kill them. Plus, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot. How officials are now trying to save the national parks from traffic and tourists. And the chemistry of good cooking. Science tries to settle the burning debate over barbecuing with charcoal or gas.
This program is brought to you in part by Lexus, where even the pursuit is exhilarating.
The golden city of El Dorado vanished. Gold doubloons lost at sea. The goose that laid the golden egg, dinner. Now there's the Lexus Golden Opportunity. Don't let this one slip away. You'll find the Lexus of your dreams, whether you buy or lease at values more incredible than you'd ever expect. But hurry, the Lexus Golden Opportunity ends September 6th at your Lexus dealer.
Where will you be when the millennium turns? Your dreams change. So have we. Now Dean Witter and Morgan Stanley have joined to provide a world of investment advice on a personal level. The world will change, but at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, we will always measure success, one investor at a time.
At Zales, you can save up to 50%, plus get an extra 10% off everything when you use your Zales Diamond Charge Card. That's an extra 10% off everything, even sale prices. So apply and use your Zales Charge. Now through Monday at Zales.
When you put your name on the line, it means something. That's what Jiffy Lube Signature Service is all about. We put our name on the line every single day. It's our guarantee we did the job right. Jiffy Lube Signature Service. More than an oil change. And we offer quality Pennzoil and Quaker State products. You're watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world. Sidetrack. They had teeth, but how did they use them? Paleontologists bring the dino attack back to life. Technology and art combine to unravel the mystery of the dinosaur attack. On Sidetrack, Monday at 9 Eastern and Pacific on the Discovery Channel.
For humans, they are the most dangerous insects in the world, mosquitoes. They're not only annoying, but they also carry a number of life-threatening diseases, including malaria and encephalitis. Ned Potter reports on the extreme new efforts scientists are taking to control this deadly pest.
All summer long, they've stalked us, preyed on us, fed on us.
Kill it!
But now the hunters are being hunted. Around the United States, scientists are setting traps like this to catch mosquitoes.
They're sucked in by the fan, which pushes them down into this net where they're contained and they can't escape.
The scientists are not doing this because mosquitoes are annoying, but because they can be dangerous. They can carry diseases like malaria and yellow fever, which kill close to 2 million people around the world each year. Here in the United States, health officials are most concerned about encephalitis, a deadly virus.
Although it is rare, it has a very high mortality rate, approaching some 50% in humans.
Back at the lab, the mosquitoes will be tested for encephalitis. Last year, a Rhode Island man died from the disease, for which there is no cure. The virus originates in birds, but when a mosquito bites an infected bird, it picks up the disease and can pass it along to humans. Only the female mosquito feeds on blood, which she needs to produce her eggs.
It's the proteins and the fats that contain in the blood that the mosquito really requires for that batch of eggs.
After landing on a victim, the female mosquito inserts 2 tubes through the skin. One extracts blood while the other injects saliva. The mosquito's saliva thins the blood and prevents it from clotting, and also leaves that familiar red welt.
The body's defensive mechanisms induce an itching and a swelling to that saliva.
So how to protect ourselves? For years, repellents have been the most common way.
This contains about 200 mosquitoes.
Applying a repellent based on a chemical compound called DEET inhibits the mosquito's ability to land by scrambling the signals to its sensors. The mosquitoes know their human target is there, but they can't figure out where to touch down.
This is the blocking of the sensory apparatus of the mosquito with the insect repellent itself.
But repellents are not 100% effective, and they don't reduce the overall mosquito population. To do that, another group of scientists is researching the insect's natural hunting instincts.
We had to first understand the sensors, how a mosquito operates, and then from there we could understand its behaviors.
The scientists studied this female mosquito, which was chilled so that she would stop moving but still remain alive. A tiny electrode was carefully inserted into the base of an organ which the insect uses to detect chemicals in its surroundings. This machine records the mosquito's reaction to various compounds.
Carbon dioxide is the primary response you're seeing here when I blow on it.
They found that mosquitoes are attracted to carbon dioxide, heat, and moisture, presumably because it means a warm-blooded animal is close by. Using that knowledge, they designed an outdoor mosquito trap which creates and expels all 3 through this black tube.
The mosquitoes follow that carbon dioxide plume to the trap, and as they turn up, they get sucked into this white tube, go inside, and they go inside of a net. And once they're inside of the net, they just dry out and they die.
After years of being stalked and hunted by this tiny menace, humans have a new weapon to fight back. One that turns the mosquito's natural instincts against them.
And that's from just one night.
Ned Potter, ABC News.
When we return, Yosemite then and now, protecting the national parks from their own popularity, debating a matter of taste. Researchers cast their votes on the best recipe for barbecue, charcoal or gas.
I've always been set in my ways, so when Subaru told me they were changing my Outback, I was a tad concerned. The truth is, they just made it better. This next generation Outback's got a stylish new body, quieter ride, and their best all-wheel driving system ever. Sort of inspired me to make a few changes. I think this works. The new Outback, the world's first sport utility wagon from Subaru.
You recognize this? Sure you do. It's $1. You want to know why George Washington looks so ticked off? It's because he remembers when a buck was worth something. Nowadays, you're lucky if you can buy a pair of used socks at a garage sale for under $1. Well, cheer up, Georgie boy. At least you can get all your long-distance calls for only 99 cents.
That's right. Just dial 1010-220, and all calls up to 20 minutes are only 99 cents. And just 9 cents a minute after that. No fees, no switching. So if you want to talk up to 20 minutes for only 99 cents, just dial 1010-220 first.
Next, they're one of the nation's biggest obsessions. Explore the science of guns on Discover Magazine. And A Raging Sky. See what happens when weather turns violent on storm warning. Coming up on the Discovery Channel.
Times change. Discover how Indians of the Columbia River Plateau learned the old ways that nourished their people for over 10,000 years, then took the best of all that came to them and created a new way of life that would enable their culture to flourish for centuries to come. By Hand Through Memory opens September 11 at the High Desert Museum in Bend.
It takes a revolution to make a solution.
I was looking for a solution in an air and noise pollution. Yesterday she came around and said, let's start a revolution. I said, I don't want to go, I want to hang around at home.
tourists will do what 300 million people did over the course of last year, head to the national parks. Officials are now worried, however, that the popularity of parks has become too much of a good thing, with pristine wilderness often overrun by visitors. Barry Serafin reports on what a constant stream of people has done to one park, Yosemite.
Hi, welcome to Yosemite.
It's a gorgeous summer morning at one of the country's most famous national parks.
Your pass is good for 1 year.
There are spectacular sights ahead. The stark granite lines of El Capitan, a famous rock face. The high stone vault called Half Dome. The world-renowned waterfalls. All that. And the buses, the traffic, the crowds that jam into a narrow valley that is only 7 miles long and 1 mile wide.
We've got the best of the best and the worst of the worst.
About 4 million people visit Yosemite National Park every year, so many visitors that they're having a major impact on the park's ecological balance. Wilderness experts say more people could really tip the balance.
Yosemite won't just be a victim of its own popularity, it will really be under siege.
The siege started long ago. Scientists say there was evidence as far back as 1946 that preserving nature was taking a back seat to attracting visitors. They place much of the blame on cars.
There's 1.5 million cars each year entering Yosemite Valley.
For years, planning at Yosemite and other national parks revolved around parking lots. The cars brought pollution and congestion. Yosemite is trying to limit their use by running shuttle buses, and there are bigger plans.
A regional transportation system that delivers people to the park outside of their own cars is just as critical as restoring habitats in the valley.
The most troubled habitat is the Merced River. Yosemite built campsites right beside it where people wanted to be. Today, there are signs of erosion everywhere, largely because of those campsites.
We had people that went directly from their sites down to the river everywhere they could possibly get to it, trampling the vegetation dies, the roots are dead, and so the roots and the soil starts to erode.
The millions of visitors also disrupted Yosemite's wildlife. They drove some species like the bobcat into remote mountain regions, and they changed the behavior of other animals, turning bears into aggressive foragers for human food. And that food means garbage, tons of it. But every so often, nature finds a way to force change. The record flood of 1997 closed the park for almost 3 months. It destroyed hundreds of cabins. It also forced Yosemite to rethink nature's role in the park and devise new ways to protect it by turning some parking lots back into meadows and not reopening whole campgrounds that had been washed away. But the idea of change does not please some longtime visitors.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a conflict for the real purists that don't want to see any trampling of the earth, but this is our earth too. It's not just for the animals.
Yosemite has more plans in the works, and park rangers will reluctantly discuss the possibility of one drastic measure, limiting access to the park.
We have a very, very important mandate to preserve and protect the park and provide for a quality visitor experience. And if that quality visitor experience ends up we have to limit people, then that's something we may have to do.
As one ecologist put it, it took a century to recognize the mistakes at Yosemite. It may take another century to put them right. Barry Serafin, ABC News.
In a moment, burgers, ribs, controversy. Science fuels the debate over charcoal versus gas.
Morning, Frank. Morning.
How do you plan on funding your retirement? Conseco's annuities and mutual funds can help. Conseco, step up.
At Zales, you can save up to 50%, plus get an extra 10% off everything when you use your Zales Diamond Charge Card. That's an extra 10% off everything, even sale prices. So apply and use your Zales Charge. Now through Monday at Zales.
The Golden City of El Dorado
vanished. Gold doubloons lost at sea. The goose that laid the golden egg, dinner. Now there's the Lexus Golden Opportunity. Don't let this one slip away. You'll find the Lexus of your dreams, whether you buy or lease at values more incredible than you'd ever expect. But hurry, the Lexus Golden Opportunity ends September 6th at your Lexus dealer.
Hidden beneath the sands for 4,000 years. Preserved in astonishing condition. Forbidden from Western view. Revealed on film for the first time ever. See why this face could change history as we know it. Solve the riddle of the desert mummies. Premiering Sunday, October 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
We end this broadcast with a look at one of the most enduring hot weather activities, the barbecue. Not long ago, backyard cooking meant using a charcoal grill. But now, 60% of Americans cook outdoors over gas. So which is better? Bill Blakemore examines what science can tell us about this matter of taste.
It is a hot topic that's been debated from backyards to barbecue cook-offs nationwide. Does food taste better cooked over charcoal or cooked over gas?
When you want to cook right, you use charcoal. You can get a great charcoal taste on a gas grill.
Science is now trying to help settle this burning issue. Essentially, charcoal and gas grills work the same way. It's the high temperature that allows for intense browning, searing the surface of the food. This caramelization of the meat proteins gives food that charred taste. Melted fat drips in the coals and sends its smoke back up to condense on the surface of the food, giving the food that smoky flavor.
In the American barbecue tradition, we like a smoky flavor.
But chemistry professor Robert Woke says he has a theory on why food cooked over charcoal tastes better than food cooked over gas.
The key is high temperature. There are these reactions called Maillard reactions which produce the browning in food. And they take place at high temperature. Gas grills often don't give as high a temperature.
The reason for the difference is chemical, Woke says. Charcoal, which is a carbon, burns and reacts with the oxygen in the air to make carbon dioxide. Propane gas, which has both hydrogen and carbon, burns and makes carbon dioxide and water. It's the water vapor from the gas, Woke says, that causes the lower temperature.
The fact that water vapor is coming up against the food does have a slight modifying effect on the temperature you can reach.
But the temperature of charcoal changes constantly. Gas grills are able to maintain an even temperature.
The main advantage of using gas is convenience, but there's another advantage too, and that's consistency. When you set the thermostat on a gas grill at 350 degrees, you will get 350 degrees, minute after minute, hour after hour.
So, what about Woke's theory? Does food taste better if it's cooked over the hotter temperature of charcoals? For the answer, 5 barbecue aficionados agreed to a taste test. First, they were served steaks, half of which were cooked on charcoal, the other half on gas. 4 out of the 5 judges preferred the steak cooked on charcoal.
It was a little more well done, but it had more of a char grilled flavor.
In another round, again, 4 of the 5 preferred charcoal broiled hamburgers.
It had a full...
Pump It Up is not sold in stores, so order now. Call toll-free for Pump It Up. 2 cassettes, $19.98, 2 CDs, $26.98, plus $4.95 shipping. Call now.